Cheers, friends. Hey, welcome back. You know what? Hopefully you enjoy that. All right. So that was tip number 8. We talked about taking your audience on that journey from point A to point B. And now you know exactly where you want to take your audience to. You have a great idea of where you want to take your audience to. You know exactly what point B is going to look like, right? You figure that out. You figured out what you're going to talk about, why. You figured out a couple of stories that you're going to share with the audience. You got the basic idea of where you're going. So now it's time for public speaking tips number 9 and number 10. Number 9 and number 10. We're about to run out of fingers very shortly. Number 9 and number 10. Yeah, let's get with it. Number 9 and 10. I love to put these ones together. We're going to do this quite often. Number 9 and 10. Draft your closing. That's right. You heard me right. Draft your closing and then the opening. Draft your closing and then the opening. We're going to think about where we want to take the audience. You've got that part. Actually, you've already thought about where you want to take the audience. Now, it's time to figure out, what are you going to say? You're driving the bus, right? We said that you're the tour guide. You're the tour guide. You're on the bus. And once you arrive at point B, which is your destination, once you've arrived at point B, the destination, what do you want the audience to be able to do? What do you want them to know, do? What do you want them to be capable of achieving? I want you to think about right before you open the door to let them off the bus stop, right before you let them leave the bus to enjoy whatever it is that you gave them. Whatever it is you fed them on the bus, whatever it is you're going to let them enjoy that, you're going to release them to the world. What do you want them to know before you open that door? What do you want to tell them? Do you want to tell them, hey, the bus is going to be back at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Make sure you're here in line with your red jackets on. Or, hey, our next trip is Las Vegas, Nevada. Get your tickets before you get off the bus. Or maybe you want them to be able to take some life-changing steps in there once they leave the bus. What do you want them to be able to do when they get off the bus? Or once your speech is complete? What do you want the audience to be able to do? I want you to think about that right now. You got it? Did you get it? Yeah. You need to pause again? Whatever you need to do. Think about it. Write it down. What do you want them to know, be, do, and how do you want to say it before you let them leave? Now, this is magical. Because now that you know what you're going to say at the end of the trip, I want you to go back now. Turn my seat this way a little bit so we're looking that way. And let's look at the beginning of your presentation. What do you want to now? How do you want to start? What I really want you to do here is I want you to craft the closing statement, sentence, paragraph, the quotes, whatever you're going to do at the close when you arrive at point B. Craft that first. And now I want you to, once that's done, I want you to go over here and I want you to craft an opening. Craft the opening to your presentation. With the end in mind, I want you to craft the opening of your presentation. And you're going to craft the opening with the end in mind because you know exactly what you're going to tell them at point B when the trip's done. You know exactly what you're going to tell them. Now you're going to tell them in the opening what to expect along the way. And you're going to set them up for the close. Starting at the opening, you're going to set them up for the close at the opening. Craft your opening. And your opening, it should be dynamic. It should be something that's going to capture their attention. Think about it again. Let's go back to the bus analogy. If you're the bus driver and you're standing out at the bus stop and you want to get them on the bus, you have to tell them something amazing. You have to tell them something that's going to capture their attention. Hey, we're about to go on the best trip in the world. Join us. Get your tickets right now. Get on the bus. You got to tell them something in the beginning that's going to make them get on the bus and stay along for the ride. Craft your opening statement. Craft your opening statement now. And here's a few good ideas. Right? Here's a few good ideas because I can't answer your question right now. Not in this format. If you want to, you can go ahead and put your question in the comment section below. Send me an email or something. and I'll get back to you. But since I can't answer your question right now, here's what I'll tell you. Here's a few good ideas. Here are a few good ideas for the opening of your presentation. You can always start out with a startling question or a challenging statement of some sort. Something startling, something that's going to capture their attention. I know. So you want me to give you an example? Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can give you an example. A startling question. What would you do if you only had 6 months to live the rest of your life? Yeah, I could probably do that. I could probably walk out on stage and look at my audience, look them dead in the eye like I'm looking at you right now, and I could probably say, what would you do if you only had 6 months to live the rest of your life? You see, here's what's going to happen when I ask that question. You're going to think, I've captured your attention. A startling question. Or you can come out with a challenging statement. I could come out with a challenging statement. I could say something like, if you don't get started on your speaking journey today, you're going to die before you ever get to share your story. Maybe that's too graphic. I don't know. This is called brainstorming, right? We brainstorm and figure out how do we want to open the presentation. Startling question, a challenging statement. Maybe I want to start with a relevant quotation of some sort. Maybe I want to tell them that people won't remember everything you said. They won't remember everything that you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Maya Angelou said that. You see, a question, a statement, a quotation, an illustration, put a picture on the screen. How are you going to start to grab their attention in the beginning so that you can walk them down the road to the end? A couple of things I want you to avoid. Don't apologize. Never apologize in the beginning. A lot of speakers make this mistake. Never come out with them. If you're late, you're late. If your audio equipment's not working well, it's not working. Don't apologize. Go with it. And here's another one. Don't start with a corny joke. Seriously. Don't start with a joke that's irrelevant. Don't start with any obscene language. And if that's your style, corny jokes, obscene language, well, we don't use obscene language in the coaching program, but if that's your style, I just say avoid it. Don't apologize. Don't start with any bad jokes, irrelevant jokes, or stories that are just way out in left or right field. Don't start with those. Keep the obscenities to yourself. You do that, and you're probably going to be pretty good. Start with a question, a relevant quote, a statement. Make it something that's going to capture their attention. You know what? It doesn't even have to be true. As long as you're ready to address that once you start the presentation. Okay? Draft your closing first, and then come back and draft your opening. And I'll see you on the next tip, tip number 11. This is 9 and 10. Draft your closing and then the opening. I'll see you on tip number 11.